It's Monday, August 17th, and it's time for your Barbados Day morning news update. More businesses warned as a bar and a nightclub in Christchurch were ordered closed over the weekend for breaching COVID-19 protocols. The Tees Bar in Worthing and the Cove nightclub in St. Lawrence Gap had to close their doors for the night on Saturday following inspections by the COVID-19 monitoring unit and police officers from the Hastings Worthing police station. Director of the unit, Ronald Chapman, said patrons were not wearing face masks at the Tees Bar, although the operators had previously been warned. While at the Cove, several young people were partying in a confined space without face masks. Officers also traveled to St. James, St. Peter and St. Joseph, which resulted in bars at Sion Hill, Speightstown and Sugar Hill being issued with breach of protocol warnings. The island's COVID-19 count moved up by 3 over the weekend. In the results released on Saturday, a 41-year-old female visitor and a 55-year-old Barbadian woman who arrived on a Virgin Atlantic flight on August 8 got positive results after being tested a second time. Both are asymptomatic. In Sunday's results, a 57-year-old Barbadian female arrived on a JetBlue flight on a Saturday afternoon and was immediately transferred to the isolation facility at Harrison Point, St. Lucie, after testing positive for the virus. The national tally of confirmed COVID-19 cases now stand at 151, and recoveries have increased to 122. The number of people in isolation remains at 22. The new Minister of Transport, Works and Water Resources, Ian Goodin-Edgell, says service delivery will be his top priority. He made the comment as he addressed a St. Philip West branch meeting last evening.
If you have an area and it is flood prone and you've drawn it to the attention of the depot and you've drawn it to the attention of your member of parliament, it falls to us to understand, look, identify the problem, have a plan of action to address the problem. And once we address that problem, then the residents will have a better feel as to why they are paying taxes, because people want service, and service delivery will be key. There are several other things. For example, there are people who may not go to the member of parliament, but perhaps they will make a phone call and they will say, well, I would like this road fixed, and that helps. Because when you can pick up the phone and you call, but what we have to do now is to find a way of responding when you call and say, okay, your complaint is noted, this is the plan. Even if it cannot be fit into a particular budget at this time, I think we're duty bound to say, okay, we have the complaint, this is what we can do. Even if it's a temporary solution that we are going to apply to as a short-term measure for until we have the longer-term solution. At least I think that will make the residents in the area feel better.
He pledged that the Ministry of Transport and Works will address issues in the constituency.
I'm in the process, having received my briefs, I've hit the ground running, I've done a lot of work, but I commit to you, Minister, that I will walk this constituency with you, and that we will identify the areas that are in need of urgent attention, and we will put our work plan together in the ministry to ensure that we do what is right for the people of St. Philip West. And I pledge that to you. I know that I will not be in a position to accept every request, because we know we have to work within budgets. But I know that there are some critical areas that you would wish us to focus on. And I give you the assurance that we will attend to those areas.
Government must turn its attention to building a more robust investment culture to resuscitate growth in the face of a major economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to President of the Young Democrats, Kema Stewart, who proposed a reform of the public service, less dependence on tourism, and the building out of new economic sectors, among other things.
I also look forward to a greater mix of locals and increasing local production in the Barbados economy mixed with less reliance on tourism. Greater innovations are needed to attract foreign direct investment in Barbados, and we need to place a heavy focus on our investment policies and being able to attract foreign direct investment into Barbados, as multilateral borrowing is not enough to suffice the development that we urgently need in Barbados.
Stewart, however, said any new growth would depend on the removal of complex and antiquated policies within government's administrative process.
Poorly performing government departments, state-owned corporations and agencies are in need of much reform. They stand in the way of new projects and new innovations within the public and private sectors. And the reasons for slow implementation may vary, but they always almost relates to some type of failure within the public sector. A makeover of the public services is greatly needed sooner rather than later to raise the standards of that of the US, the UK and Canada, where our public servants are internationally competitive. Our public service needs to bid on contracts internationally where earn foreign exchange and it becomes a contributor to government's finances.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region now. In the Bahamas, the leader of the opposition, Philip Davis, says he has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. More in this report from Eyewitness News.
Davis revealed that he and Senator Dr. Michael Darville were examined by medical staff out of an abundance of caution. Well, in a voice note from his hospital bed released just moments ago, Davis encouraged others to be their brother's keeper during this very difficult time.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Philip Brave Davis, leader of the Progressive Liberal Party. This last 6 weeks, more than 1,000 Bahamians have learned they have tested positive for the COVID virus. This morning, I learned the same thing. I'm in hospital, receiving excellent care. My family and I thank you for the many prayers and well wishes we have received. We all owe an enormous debt of gratitude to the nurses, doctors, and the healthcare workers who are working day and night. Please include them in your prayers also.
And over in Trinidad and Tobago, the country recorded an additional death related to COVID-19, bringing the number of deaths to 11. The Ministry of Health said the death, which is the third in recent days, is an adult male who had pre-existing medical conditions.
On Sunday, the number of active cases went up to 401, as 55 more people tested positive for the coronavirus. Of these latest cases, 6 are pending epidemiological investigation, while 2 are contacts of recently positive COVID-19 patients. And the Health Ministry says it's awaiting laboratory forms for 33 cases to categorize those cases. The ministry's morning update said 115 patients were hospitalized, while 65 patients were either on the way to or being admitted to hospital. And 45 new patients were to be processed for admission. 3 of the patients at the Couva Hospital are in the intensive care unit, while 1 patient is in the high dependency unit.
And finally, fresh strikes are expected in Belarus after a weekend which saw tens of thousands of people take to the streets to demand the departure of long-term President Alexander Lukashenko. More in this Reuters TV report.
Russia has said it is ready to offer military assistance, if necessary, to Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, as demonstrators held one of the biggest protests yet against his contested re-election. The protest in Minsk attracted tens of thousands of people, despite 2 deaths and thousands of detentions since last Sunday's vote. Opponents of Lukashenko say that poll was rigged to disguise the fact that he's lost public support. He denies losing, citing official results that gave him 80% of the vote. On Sunday, the Kremlin said Russian President Vladimir Putin had told Lukashenko that Moscow was ready to assist Belarus in accordance with a collective military pact, and that external pressure was being applied to the country. It did not say where that pressure was coming from, but at a rally of his supporters on Sunday, Lukashenko was more forthcoming.
NATO tanks and jets are on standby within 15 minutes reach of our borders. This is not for nothing. NATO forces are rattling tank tracks at our doors. Military power is building up on the western border of our country. Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, and unfortunately our brother Ukraine, its leadership are telling us to hold a new election.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.